Hello, it's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend. I am back. Thank you for your patience. I hope everybody is well. I was just getting text from my husband. He is out with my two younger daughters, and they are Halloween costume shopping. And my one daughter, my middle daughter, is in love with chickens. She has like a little chicken stuffed animal she just bought. She was really excited. So there was chicken costumes, and they were joking that like my husband could be a chicken, and then my little one goes, "Or Daddy, you could be a chicken tender," and she pointed to the penis costume. So I thought that's funny. She clearly doesn't know. So my husband was like, "Okay, let's go." Okay, so we are here. Lucille, I got yours. I got Clorinda's payment, and so I will just change the name there and update the list. Thank you for letting me know. Hi, Clorinda. It was nice to see your name today. Hi, Lexi. I had an interesting week. So like the week before I got my roof fixed, and then last week we had a furnace and a AC put in. Then they had to come back, but it was like all day. And now I found out because they were working in that room. They're like, "Oh, you have a leak here, so I'm gonna have to call a plumber." And then my oldest has some kind of stomach bug. Woke up like throwing up like crazy today. So it's been an interesting week, but it's fine. Like I know that there's like a whole superstitious thing. I'm like, "Oh my God, another thing broke. What does it mean?" I'm like, shit breaks. So it's just my turn. Hi, Lee. Thank you. I have to tell you something. I've probably had the same haircut, like similar haircut for like ever because I have curly hair. So I'm like, I don't know what I do with it. And I don't like the way I look when I straighten my hair. Number one, I think I look too much like one of my sisters. That weirds me out. And number two, it's just not my personality. So I just, this is a professional haircut. My last few haircuts were TikTok inspired. So it's okay. It is what it is. We had Girl Scouts, so that was kind of cool. They want to do a Toys for Tots drive or something like that in their school. So I have to do all that, but it's a week. You're a mom. You know how it is. So okay, let's get going. So because I know there's Linda says she has somewhere to be, and I'm sure all of you also do. And then a couple of you are in a across the sea, the ocean, across the pond in totally different time zones. So I want to make sure we honor that. And your time. Hi, Rathka. So Linda, are you here? She said she had to run out. So I don't know if that meant she had to leave like right at 4. Hopefully not. I went grocery shopping because I'd been doing some research. So if Linda's not here, we can move on to Ashley if you want to ask yours. And then hopefully Linda will show up. Oh, there you are. Yes. Okay. So ask your question. I was actually in your town, in Clorinda's town today, doing some grocery shopping because I went out. I was researching foods that are high in protein and also fiber because I am of a certain age where fiber and protein matter. Oh, sorry, I won't shake my table. Okay, so we'll do Linda and then Ashley and then Rathka. Okay, I can only, I don't know why, but on this one, Ashley, I can only see part of it through my app. So I see that you're worried about if they're happy with your new school, and then it doesn't like. Doesn't let me see it all. It's really a farce. Let me see if it'll open it up that way. No. Dummy. Not you. Apps. After purchasing a new homeowner insurance, they told me that I may need a new home inspection. Yeah, send it by email. That's fine, Ashley. So are you wondering, Linda, if you need a new home inspection? Um, so I'm getting a mixed information. I'm going to tell you what I'm getting and just kind of flow with it the way it's coming out because it's weird. So it's like the first thing I heard was, yeah, you will need an inspection, but I feel like there's a pretty big grace period for the repairs, so it's something that's actually feasible. And I also feel like somehow through your mom's stuff you're going to be able to afford it. Like I feel like it'll end up being less expensive than you expect. And I just feel like a grace period of how long you have to have, like maybe it's like a 90-day grace period or a 60-day grace period where you have time to kind of get some of those repairs. And it also feels like, even though I wouldn't pass, it feels like some of it is grandfathered in just by virtue of the age of the home. Um, I'm trying not to read your anxiety about it. So hold on. Like I see some money coming through mom's stuff, and I don't understand how. And I also feel like your brother might assist. It just feels like it'll end up being okay, but I feel like there's a pretty big grace period, so it's not like I have to do it all right now. And I don't understand it other than that. So what needs to be repaired? I also feel like if you're like, oh, I need a whole roof, I feel like there's someone who can come out and like patch the section so then it's acceptable. It doesn't feel like it has to be, like, for example, I thought I was going to have to get a whole new roof. And it's expensive. And um, the guy was like, oh no, I can do it for this money. He's like, now because of X, Y, and Z, he's like, I can't, he's like, I'll guarantee it for, a certain amount of time, or I can come back and work on it. He's like, but I can't. So he was able to do certain things that he's like, it'll last a little longer. And it just feels like, it's not necessarily like, or like if you need gutter, you think, oh, I need all new gutters. And they're like, no, we can just do this little section. And it's just, it feels like there's ways around it where it's really not as overwhelming as you're perceiving it to be. I do feel like that's a better option. But I also feel like even when it comes to the repairs, it's still not going to be as bad as you think. So it's like, if you say with that one, then yeah. And so they're saying, even if Allstate's is slightly more expensive, it may be more manageable for you in the short term, like so that you can make the repairs and things that you need to do over time. So am I right about the roof and the gutters? Because that's what I'm seeing. Yeah. Gutter missing. Okay. Yeah, so it's like I feel like they can just put in a piece of the gutter. It's not like I need a whole new system. Um, I have to tell you, I know with your mom's space that it's like it really needs a good clean. And I do feel like there's like a couple little leaks and things like that, but I feel like when you get it cleaned out, um, is her flooring rippling in the corners? Like, maybe you have linoleum or something where but it just feels like there's rippling and I can hear the stickiness of the floor. And I don't know if it's linoleum is, like, weird. It's funny, I can almost feel her here, apologizing to me about it, and I'm like, "I don't care." It's like meaning like a slight embarrassment about the state of her living range. Like, I feel like she wasn't, she did carry a lot of shame around, um, how she lived. Um, I don't know that they need to come in tight, and that's might be where the 90-day grace period is, if they do, where you're like, "My mom just died, she was a hoarder, I'm working on cleaning this out," where they give you a grace period to do that. Geez, sorry, that's, like, waving around, sorry if you get motion sick. Um, um, I I see something in the corner, like, I'm kinda looking near the corner where I see, like, the rippling a little bit. It could be that there was a lot of dampness there for a while, and I don't necessarily feel like that's, I'm gonna say I feel like I'm in the kitchen just because of the type of flooring, and it feels like a corner because 'cause I'm seeing corner. So, just once it's all cleared out, I feel like you'll have a better, obviously, ability to observe, uh, but I don't again, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like you bring someone in there and they're like it's like when I brought the guy for the roof, he's like, "Oh, it's this." And it's like he's like, "It's no big deal in here." And it's I mean, it's not cheap, but it's also, like, not the cost of a roof. So, um, under 2 grand versus a $30,000 roof. So it just feels like, also just a really good paint job and a really good airing out. I do feel like the floor probably isn't salvageable, but, like, also for whoever's gonna move in there, I don't feel like you need to have it be super duper uber nice stuff. You can just, um, even for some of it, if you got carpet and some of it, you'd be giving like, there's places, like, you can get salvage, um, and you can go on, like, Facebook Marketplace and get leftover tile and things like that. I feel like it's manageable for you to do it. It sounds more overwhelming because I can feel that overwhelm as I'm talking about it, but it feels like however it is, it works out to where it's like it's more unmanageable thinking about the list than actually as you're plucking away at it, right? And figuring out like, oh, again, where I went on Facebook and I was like to find a roofer because I know who installed my this roof. It was before we moved in, and they were shysters. They wouldn't even answer the phone when I was calling them, like when we first moved in to ask them about some stuff. So I was like, well, they're not getting my business, and they would have had an easy first time client because honestly, I hate shopping around for people, despise it. I it's one of the things that makes that overwhelming for me. So if I feel like I've already got somebody who's done a whole bunch of stuff, the work, legwork for me, then I'm like, oh, let's go with that. Um, that's just the way I am. So it just feels like you end up falling into a guy and he feels like a handyman. He doesn't feel like somebody with like a big company thing and he's like, "Oh, here X, Y, and Z." He feels like a really nice, like honest person. Um Perfect. So I feel like he'll give you like, oh, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do all of that. Let's just do X, Y, and Z to get you up and moving and getting the money in. So it feels like whatever it is for like that amount for whatever you do, it does feel like it's manageable. And I don't understand why. Maybe your brother gives you a loan. Maybe it's something like that, but it just feels like it comes in, it's fine. And whatever it is, that's manageable. And then over time, having a renter there, having stuff there, like it feels like, because I do feel like you'll have money income coming in from it. That makes it easier to do the bigger repairs. And I also feel like this guy is not going to try and take you for your money. Like, I don't know. The older I get, the more I get. And I don't think I'm more Republican. I'm just like, I'm really fed up with, everybody's like, oh, it's the government. Like, it's not, it's corporate greed, all of that. Hi, McKeegan. Hi, Andy. So you're going to be okay. I really do believe that. I just feel like the part that I feel like is more overwhelming is like, as you start putting together, like, I have all of this to do. That's the overwhelming part. But then like, once it gets started, I just feel like, okay, I just can breathe and it's not going to be that bad, especially after talking to somebody. Andy, I have your payment, by the way. Okay. All right. I'm going to move on. Have fun wherever you're off to. Actually, if you want to, you said you sent an email. And I'm sorry, I wrote your whole name on here. I'm going to delete this so your whole name isn't on here. I'm sorry. It was an absent-minded brain fart. Andy, Andie. Yeah. Okay. All right, Ashley, let me look for your. Oh, I scrolled up. Good Lord. Let me scroll up again just to make sure I take off of her full name. I don't like leaving all y'all's information so out there for people to see. Okay. All right, Miss Ashley, you're up. Starry Sky, you're here. I was thinking about you earlier. I hope you're doing well. I'll add you in. Okay, Ashley, let me look for your email. Got it. Okay, hang on. Oh my goodness. Okay, I want to say this. First of all, I hope you're feeling okay. Oh my gosh, that's a lot. Okay. I don't think Florian has said anything, only because, so her question is, I'm going to say this so if someone's watching back, then I'll just go. Is that's okay that I say talk kind of about what it's okay. It's going to be okay. Listen, like I said, look at all the stuff that happened at my house. It's like, well, sometimes things just happen. There's not like this like higher lesson we're supposed to learn. I know that's like every woo-woo person is like, what did you do to bring this into your life? I'm like, well, sometimes shit just happens, right? So it's like, it just happens all at once. So like, I mean, I have another pipe I have to get fixed and whatever. Like it just happens. Like, the only thing I can say is they're like, maybe she should pay attention to more when she's walking, but like, that's it. So, okay, I can read it. So, I'm just going to paraphrase it. So Ashley started a new job, and she's wanting to know it's her two bosses feel about her because she just started, and she left this other school that she was not happy with, and she just started, and last week she slipped and fell and got a concussion, and it sounds like a pretty bad one if you're still feeling dizzy and yucky. So she missed a few days, and she went back to school, and she was struggling because of the dizziness and the headaches. And so one of the bosses is totally take care of yourself, and then she thinks she's getting bronchitis now. You're in a new school, you're going to be exposed to new bugs and germs and viruses, and that is what it is, right? For Florian, now you've said the Natalie, I think was the name. Yeah, Natalie's been very nice and understanding, and I don't think that that's just fluff. I just don't feel like Florian is really. She hasn't said anything. She's not mad. She's just sort of like, honestly, she's like, it's not about you. She's like, well, that's my luck. Like, I hire someone that I'm having, you know what I mean? But it's not really about you being a bad person or not doing, because you have zero control over any of these things. Okay. So I just think hers is also not to be very gregarious and like, oh, she's not a coddler. That's not her personality. So yeah, I'm like watching Linda retract messages. So it's not, you're fine. I wouldn't be too overly concerned. Oh, that's okay, Lisa. I know I took it off the list. That's fine. I thought I went all the way up and got all the list, but maybe I didn't. I deleted all the lists. Linda, I deleted all the lists, just so you know. Hi, Lisa. So that's what I was thinking. My assistant said she's not saying much because she doesn't have anyone to cover me if I'm not there. Yeah, I just feel like it literally feels like she's more like, well, that's my luck. So it's more of an internal battle with her than it is about you and an issue with you. Florian said something about me needing to rest. Yeah. So, I mean, it's more, again, if she's not saying much, it's more just about like, isn't that my luck? I wouldn't worry about it. I'm saying this to you with all the love in the world. Okay. You have a tendency to, and all of us who have been with you for a while, we know this, right? You have a tendency to automatically think, oh my God, someone thinks this of me. Like it's always the worst, this fatalist type thing. They're happy for you being there. It's just more of like, it's literally like, oh, isn't that my luck kind of thing. So, but it's not about you per se. It's about her, I feel like within another week and a half, it's going to be fine and smooth sailing. There's something I want to tell you to try and drink to help. So stinging nettle tea. You don't want to oversteep it because it becomes very, but it really actually helps. And I didn't realize this, but it helps with like hay fever type symptoms. So when the pollen count is really high, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like there's something else that you should be drinking, because I feel like some of what you think is bronchitis is actually a reaction to something in the building. Okay, so it'll be fine by the time you're back. So I just feel like I wouldn't, don't panic. It's going to be okay. Make sure you're hydrated enough too. And maybe it would benefit you to drink some Pedialyte. to make sure you're getting your electrolytes. I don't know if they have Pedialyte there, but whatever that equivalent is, and like a kid's one, not like the adult one. And I think Paris is probably better, or France, wherever, is probably better, because I think they don't have all this super uber sugary things. So there's probably an adult equivalent that doesn't also have all the dyes and everything. But to drink something like that, like an electrolyte water, would be beneficial to you. And I don't know why, because that's not something they usually talk about, I don't think. I'm not saying that you don't have a bad cough. I'm saying it feels more of an irritant. So rather than a viral or bacterial thing causing it, it feels like it's something environmental. So I don't know if that means getting a purifier for your classroom, or, try drinking. I know it sounds dumb. I know it sounds super out there, but like, I only give you guys information where I'm like, this has really actually worked for me. Like my hair fallout and all of that stuff. And like, alpha lipoic acid for my smell and all of that stuff. And also it stopped the ringing in my ears. So I don't know, whatever. I'm just suggesting, if you research stinging nettle and see what you think, but, soursop's good too. But I just, for some reason, I think that what they might end up giving you, but I'm not sure, because again, medicine is everywhere, is like a steroid versus a bronchodilator, like a steroid inhaler instead of a bronchodilator, because I feel like it's a reaction rather than like it's an inflammatory process versus being thinking of words it's hard sometimes. I'll look for Pedialyte and the Senil. Yeah. It just feels, it's more like, like an inflammatory process versus being an illness. Okay, let's move on. Oh, I see where your name is in the list. Thank you, Linda. I got it. So I don't know, because I've had, like, one of my friends, she her son was over filming. I think they were in Germany. No. Yeah. And he got sick while they were over there, and she went looking at the pharmacy for something, and the pharmacist was like, "We don't give that to children." So it just feels like needing it's like when my husband had pneumonia here and the doctor kept giving him antibiotics. I'm like, it's viral. It's not going to like take care of it. I was like, and he just gave him albuterol. And I was like, you need a steroid with this. This is not helping you. It just feels like you need a steroid to actually decrease the inflammation, not just a bronchodilator, which is what albuterol is, if you know anything about those. And it just feels like you need the steroid to help calm down the inflammation, which will calm down the coughing. So non-medical interventions that you can do to help yourself out is, if you don't have a humidifier, turn on the shower and sit in your bathroom. Don't sit in the shower. Just sit in your bathroom and breathe the steam for about 10 or 15 minutes, and just breathe in the steam. That might also be why you need for the hydration, because it, for whatever reason, it might help. And then if you have them, obviously, any kind of nebulizer treatment would be beneficial. Like, you can even just do saline nebs to help. But that you have to ask the doctor for, kind of. You can buy nebulizer machines on your own. I don't know about France, but here you can. You don't need a prescription for it. You need a prescription if you don't want to have to pay as much for it, but you don't need a prescription for it. And then I just bought. So talk to the doctor and just say, do you think that I might benefit from a steroid inhaler? I don't know if they do them, again, because some of the things that we do here in practice are like people in Europe are horrified by, but also look at our food. Like, people are like, you drink Mountain Dew, and I don't, but I mean, like in the United States, you see things and it's like, these are banned in our country for all sorts of reasons. Okay. All right. So Rothka. I'm going to update the list. Rothka, you're up. And then I've got to add Starry Sky on here. And I hope you feel better, and please take care of yourself. You WhatsApped me. Okay. I have that in a different folder. Hold on. I've been feeling close. Okay. So I don't know that this is psychic, but that I'm going through, okay. So she said she's feeling stuck and kind of like floating about around her life purpose and sort of trying to figure out where she fits and all of that. Just feeling, I would say, I don't know, lost at sea. Is that a correct analysis? And I am going through I'm doing this life coaching type thing right now to help me with my own stuckness type feeling. And one of the things which I didn't even realize, I was like, so obviously if this woman's built this program and it's she's able to do this. It's like, you're either the type of person that feels like you try to do everything, or that you get stuck and you freeze and you can't do anything. And I'm sort of like the stuck and freeze overwhelmed and I can't do anything. And I just feel like if I don't know how to do it all, I just, and it was interesting just to see like, oh, I'm not alone. That's a pretty normal feeling. And then it looks at like, I'm going to go back into this so I can kind of know what I'm trying to ramble about to get to you. So whether you're overaction or inaction. Okay. So I watch the video. I just want to look at this sheet. So, and we do inaction through through shaming ourselves. Like, oh, I should be doing this. I should be doing that, through apathy, impossibility, fear of success, insecurity, changing your self-concept, fear of failure, or overwhelmed by your perfectionism. And I know this probably, maybe to some of you, this sounds like, so like, that's not profound. But it was profound for me because I literally thought there's something wrong with me that I can't do something when I know I should be. I know all of the things, like, so there's all this shame and stuff going around with it. So it just feels like, rather than looking at why am I stuck, it's this big mystery, write down what your thoughts are around what you should be doing. Like, what are your thoughts around it? Really look at them. And I did this is really interesting. It's like, and because this came up twice for me, and I don't know why I'm rambling and telling you this about it, except for that I feel like it has purpose for you to hear it. So it's this idea where you look at, when you're manifesting, it's like you're trying to look at your blocks, like, why am I blocked? And when you're in this idea of manifesting and affirmation and like your self-concept matters, sometimes we turn a blind eye to like, oh, I don't want to pay attention to those thoughts over there and that stuff because I'm supposed to be positive. But if you don't really look at it, then there's no way to change it. So like, it was like, why do I think that I'm not growing? Why am I feeling inactive about putting more content out there, that kind of stuff? And I started writing everything. And one of the things I wrote is, I'm boring. Now, I don't necessarily think I'm, like, why wouldn't I? It's just because we all have insecurities. And I'm not kidding. It was that afternoon. My daughter was like, Mom, they're 10. So I'm not really taking this personally. She's like, so and so said she saw that you have a TikTok and she says you're boring. And I giggled and I was like, well, that's okay. Like, I'm not really meant to be exciting for somebody like her. Like, she's not my demographic. And it's sort of like, write down all of the stuff because maybe you'll realize how silly that subconscious stuff is and absurd it is. But unfortunately, when it's like rolling and rattling around in our brains, we can't move beyond it. It's like you have to put some light on it, and you have to. I'm literally trying to. Jesus Christ, sorry. I was trying to move, like, like you have the little to move the mouse around, but I was doing it on my desk, which is not connected to my laptop. So does that make sense when I'm saying it? It's like, rather than like with the great big, because I'm like, well, why wouldn't I? It's like, I didn't ever really look at it in that instance of like, what are my thoughts around this? And am I shoulding and shaming myself for not being in a certain space? And I listened to this great Mel Robbins podcast. And it was around like organization stuff. And it was like she was talking to a therapist. The therapist said, and this is true in every single case. I mean, literally every single case. When you shame yourself or when you should yourself, you put yourself into paralysis mode. If you have grace and compassion for yourself, it fuels the steps to move forward and helps you move forward. So I don't know. This isn't really psychic. This is more just, I like to listen to a lot of stuff and put the effort in. So I'm sharing the wisdom with you. So don't even worry about the why. Like, literally don't even worry about the why. It's like, just write them down and then look at them honestly with yourself. Not even like, well, don't worry about it. Because the why is what throws you into this loop of getting stuck and looking for, and the truth is a lot of our beliefs around things aren't logical. Like the I'm boring thing. I probably am boring for some people, but then they're not my demographic. And that's okay. It's like when some of you on here are talking about dating, right? You're like, oh, why am I having this hard? Or why is this guy not the one? Or when I remember when I was dating, it was like, oh, like it was some kind of thing wrong with me. It's like, now I'm looking at logic. I'm like, not my demographic, or I'm not their demographic. That's okay. It takes it a little out of the emotional space. Wondering if there's something I'm missing, if anything you're getting about that. You're not missing anything. It's literally like, stop and have some more compassion for yourself. Stop deciding where you should be compared to what. I think what they want you to do is look at it more about, well, okay. So you're not making X, Y, and Z, or you're not having X, Y, and Z clients. Like, really look at, what does it mean for you to be successful in your thing? And then go, but is it the end of the world? No. Do I still have time to grow that? Yes. What are some things I could be doing? I don't have to. But what are some things that I could be doing to make this happen? Like, part of this program that I'm working on, it's really about, she talks about, like, when you're creating content and you're putting yourself out there, that's like not normal for your brain to like be out there in the notice, because your brain wants to protect you and keep you safe. Like, it'd be like if you were out like in the middle of the field, like you don't want to be seen because you could be attacked by predators, like all of that kind of stuff. So it's like, when you choose to step out, because I do feel like your career path, I know what it is, but I'm trying to keep you anonymous. It does put you in the spotlight quite a bit. And so you are having to work about some of that fight is like recognizing that I'm having to go against the grain just a little bit. And so it feels like it would be really good for you to maybe have the voice of person that says, and you can give it a character name, all the negative things that you say, write them down. And then the gentle part of you that's going to reparent yourself and say like, okay, but maybe those people, stepmom was really harsh, and grandmother harsh and uncaring and unkind. And that is in, obviously it was much worse than that, um, but not everybody. And your demographic will find you. And yes, there are a lot of horrible people out there. So it doesn't feel like they're saying we need, you have to do X, Y, and Z, because I think it's sort of that. So it's like with my oldest, she's autistic and she's got the PDA profile, even though they don't really honor that here in the United States. It's really in Europe they do. It's like she's in constant fight or flight mode. And that's kind of what happens when we go into that freeze mode, right? Fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And my job to help her is to like always let her know she's safe. And it's like, feels like you need that part of your consciousness to remind your subconscious, like, okay, I'm not under attack. It's okay that I'm not there. It's okay. Like, you can do the positive negative thing where like, it's okay if I'm a super success, and it's okay if I'm not a super success. It's okay if this gets out there and does all of these things, and it's okay if it doesn't. And I really believe that, like, it's okay if I do all of these readings, and it's okay if I don't. I'll make money some way, right? But it's like, if you can do that, then it takes some of the pressure off. But I don't feel like you're doing anything wrong per se. It feels like really doing a bit more honest journaling and not hesitant journaling. Where it's like, oh, I don't really want to write that down because it's too negative, or but it's like, it needs to get out of there, because the more you shove that down, like, it becomes like almost like a repressed memory. Our brains are really, really brilliant and amazing, and they will protect us and not allow us to remember certain events. But that's still there, right? It's still holding you back. Yep. Journaling. Yep. More openly about your doubts. Absolutely. The thing that I think a lot of people miss is that if we in fact manifest from our subconscious, our belief systems, if you aren't honest with yourself and don't bring those to light, all the negative ones, how are you going to rewrite them? It's like constantly pushing back the stuff behind the closet door that you're like, I got to close this. Too many coats in there. I got to close them. It's like, well, if you're not honest about what's in there, like, sometimes you do have to donate some stuff, and it's a little cluttered. And that's okay. That's okay to be super raw and real about it. You absolutely do. She said, I've been wondering if I've attracted annoying work dynamics unconsciously. Absolutely. No offense. And instead of like getting mad, I had a client who I did a reading for last week, and she was like getting mad at herself for being where she's at and for not having done better, because she had been in a better place. Or I don't remember exactly what it is. It's like, but that doesn't help you. Like, again, shame keeps you stuck. And also, you're really smart. And if we really, really sit in with the intelligence level of the majority of people, I think the average reading level in the United States is 5th grade. Like, and it's not to be elitist, like I'm so smart, whatever. But if you're also of a logical brain, then when you're dealing with people who maybe aren't doing all of those things, or when you deal with people when you're a self-motivated and they're hyper micromanagers, it becomes a bit overwhelming. But it's like I have a friend, Emily, who started work at this place, and she's like, oh, and there's this one person, and it's like, I always have to do the work for them. I go, literally, do you always think there's always going to be somebody at work that you have to do the work for them? She's like, yeah. I go, the universe will provide. Ask and you shall receive. I sell it and I can understand it through the framework I work with when I do my work in organizations. It's maddening. So when you start to work on this other stuff, and maybe even if you look at it like that's their issue, not mine, or where you kind of like separate yourself a little bit and not allow it to bother you as much, it's not that here's the thing is once you've healed stuff, it's not that like, oh, I never have a trigger again, or there's never going to be an annoying person, but you just learn to go, whatever, I don't have time for that. And you stop giving it so much attention, it stops overwhelming you so much. It's not like I have trauma triggers that I will never get rid of, but also they don't hold me captive for weeks at a time anymore. You know, it was like, oh, for a while it'd be like for weeks. And then it was like for a week, then it was like maybe a day. And then it was like, a couple hours. And it's like, okay, a half hour, I'm annoyed and I'm pissed off about it, or I'm whatever about it. And then I keep moving because I've handled it better, but I will still probably always be triggered by things. And that's sort of what it is. This idea that we'll ever be perfectly healed and all of that is garbage, because we won't, because that's not what we came down here for. And because we're constantly bombarded by new, like, maddening events that set you into a state of fear. Hi, Deirdre. Deborah, are you here? So I'm going to move on. Is that okay? Are you good? You're very welcome. Thank you for always trusting me. Let me just check and see if anybody else purchased. So Deirdre, these are paid readings. They're $12 a reading, and I donate 30% of the money to the Community Food Bank of New Jersey.